computers and presentations.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're about to get started here. Sorry for the delay. We're getting stuck with a little technical issue that we had to figure out, but I think we have worked our way through it. So we're going to go ahead and get going and try to make up for a little time. Luckily, I speak pretty quickly. So, thanks for joining today's webinar, Assisted Living Facilities with Jean Guarino. I'm Christy Bro. I am going to be your moderator and now the navigator for today's presentation. That's me right there. Hello, everybody. So the first we're going to do is we're going to run through and let you know that you're all on mute for today's presentation. But that doesn't mean that we don't want you to participate. So to do that, go to your, I'll show you. This is live. Go see this little screen right here. When you click on that, you will see the little hand that goes up. And from there it finally goes. We're catching up. Sorry again, guys. Finally. So you raise your virtual hand to ask a question. You put your little comments in the box. And then if you are using social media today, use your hashtag AAPL webinar for comments, questions, or feedback. Although I might be a little busier with the presentation than originally planned to be having double duty today. So we do have Jean on the line. Let me get to my next slide here. Here's Jean. So AAPL has got a great history working with Jean. He has presented at our annual conference in Vegas before and a couple of other events throughout the year. And so he has so graciously offered to help us out today and do a little bit of a presentation on assisted living facilities and how to get started in that business. So, Jean, do you want to talk a little bit about yourself? Do you have a couple of bullet points in here?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Just click it on down there. And first of all, I want to make sure people can hear me, so I know you can. But somebody just click in there in the messages to make sure that Chrissy knows that you guys can hear me. So just a real brief background. Again, I've been in real estate since I was 18 years old, residential, commercial, all the way through 16-plus businesses. But I'm doing one thing right now, and that's assisted living facilities. And I'm going to explain to you exactly what it is and why I'm doing it and why you should be doing it as well. So again, I want to make sure, can you hear me there, Chrissy? And did at least one person comment back that they can hear it?
Yep, we're good. Linda's on the other line as well, and she can hear.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, go to the next slide. I love it. I've got a navigator. That's cool. All right, go to the next slide. And some of them build, so I'll say when I say hit it, that'll be your clue right there. So this picture right here, this is how it all begins, because I got into this because my mother, who was in her 80s, we were looking for a place for her. She needed help, more help than we could give at home, and we needed something for her. And in order to bring her to another home, we wanted to find something she'd be comfortable with. And frankly, we couldn't find anything. All we had were large places, 100 unit, 200 unit, things that were not like a home. They were more like an institution. So I said, you know what, there's got to be a better way, and that's what I strive to do. And that was in her early 80s. So if you go ahead and press the button right there, what you're seeing in the picture is my granddaughter, my daughter, and now when you press that button, you're going to see my mother appear as well. And this is really the only picture of all three of them there together. Go ahead, Chrissy, press that button.
There you go.
Or maybe it's the arrow button. There it is. So this picture right here represents those three generations together. And my mom, when she was in her early 80s, started to need help, and then in her late 80s, last August, she passed away. And it's all good. It's all the circle of life. And, you know, we start in diapers, we end in diapers. That's a little assisted living joke, guys. You can laugh. It's okay. But, you know, that's what it is, and that's why I wanted to start, because I wanted you to know where I come from. This isn't just about money. It's about helping people. And you can do good and do well, help people and make a lot of money. So we'll go right on to the next slide. And as we talk about the assisted living and the opportunity in it, there is a real estate component to it, and there's also a business side to it. So first of all, why should you learn about this? Well, the timing, number one. There's a mega trend, baby boomers, 77 million of them, 10,000 turning 65 every day, 4,000 turning 85 every day. So that means every 8 seconds somebody turns 65. Every 20 seconds somebody turns 85. And 70% of those people are going to need help with their activities of daily living, and we'll talk about that, for an average of 3.5 years. So they're not ready for a nursing home, but they do need some help. So that's where we come in, and we'll talk about that. 2, buy and hold. If you like real estate, I do, love it, been doing it for 30 plus years, it's a great investment, but the concept of making a couple of $100s a month positive cash flow doesn't excite me now when I'm in my 50s. When I'm in my 20s, it was exciting. Today, not so much. So buy and hold, the idea of having long-term tenants who are low impact, who may be paying us at twice the fair market rent, that's an opportunity. Go on to the next one. And you can kind of flow through intuitively there, and we'll see what it comes up with, Christy. There you go. So you can own a business. The business itself of the assisted living, earning $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month is another reason. And continuing on, you can own that real estate, you can run that business, but you can also leave a blessing and not a problem for your kids. Again, 30 years from now, God willing, I'll be in one of these homes. And instead of leaving a problem to my kids saying, you're going to have to pay $10,000 a month for dad to live there, I'm going to leave a business to them that pays for dad to live for free and kicks off $10,000, $20,000 a month for them. So leave a blessing, not a problem. And as you go on to the next slide, obviously the idea of just experiencing and widening your real estate professional experience is a big part of it. So assisted living provides really the best of all worlds as an investment. Residential, everybody needs shelter. Commercial, long-term tenant, low-impact tenant, maybe even a triple net lease. Timing, it's a mega trend. You cannot stop the baby boomers. And the cool thing is this is a great business now, but the baby boomers won't even be moving in for another 18 years. The oldest baby boomer is 68. So in 17 years when they're 85, that's when they're moving in. Then the tsunami hits the shore and we profit again for the next 20 years. And lifetime residual income, I think that's one thing that everybody strives for in real estate. So as we move on to the next one there, the ability to do good and do well. The ability to help people and make a lot of money is a tremendous combination, and that's really what it's all about. So go ahead on to the next one there. And as we talk about this, I just want you to get a picture before we talk numbers and profit. Here's a picture of the dining area in one of our homes. You can see the ladies there and the gentleman there. They're holding up, and you can go to the next slide. This was on St. Patrick's Day this year, so they're having a beer. It's not a nursing home. They're not sitting around in a hospital bed with gurneys and so on. They're enjoying life. And as you go on to the next picture there, this is Easter Sunday. And the caregiver sent me pictures. They were decorating Easter eggs. And it's just, go on to the next one. It's just great to see them do that, just enjoy themselves and live their life, and their families come to visit. It's like a family. So you can do good, do well, and make a lot of money in the meantime. So how big is this opportunity? Well, we're going to go right through the stats here. I mentioned them, 77 million baby boomers. It is a mega trend. 10,000 people a day turning 65 right now, 4,000 people a day turning 85, and 70% of them need help for an average of 3.5 years. Huge opportunity, and that's what we're talking about. So the ability to live long in our country, we've been striving to help people live healthier and longer lives, means more people are turning 100. So as you go to the next page right here, here's our oldest resident to date. She turned 100 last August. She's going to be 101 this August. Go on to the next one there. I think the pictures take a little longer to load, that's why. So when we talk about, aging and we talk about the opportunities here, assisted living is all about having people live in a residential setting where they're enjoying their life and living out their life. The assisted living facility and the real estate. Anytime I have something in gold, that's your best choice. So owning the assisted living facility and the real estate is where you make the most profit. Or in addition to that, you could just be a private lender, right? Or you can live in somebody else's home. And if you live in their home, you're going to be paying them a check. A lot of people start to think about this as their parents get of age. You can go on to the next slide. As their parents get of age and they start to think about, well, what's this going to cost? And boy, I'm giving a check for $5 grand to that person and they've got 10 people in the house. They must be making a lot of money. But at that point, you're taking care of mom and dad, and you're not thinking about it. So being prepared, and instead of giving a check to somebody, receiving checks from the other 9 is a great way to go. So what does this cost nationwide? Here's a picture, and I just want you to look at that for a minute. You can kind of locate your state. These give you the annual cost for a 1-bedroom single occupancy. So if you're in an assisted living facility, nursing homes are twice this much. So an assisted living facility, that's what it costs. The median, the average is $3,500 per person. You can go to the next slide. $3,500 per person is the median, the average. So $3,500 per person. If you want to be, in a nicer home, you can go one more slide, click again. A nicer home, you're going to be, it may be $7,000 a month. If you want to be in a lesser home, it could be $1,700 a month. So how big are these facilities? Well, it's not a nursing home. That's a large medical facility. So it's not that. It's not a, go ahead, and the red line is going to go through there, Chrissy. You are doing great, by the way, as the navigator. I appreciate that. Go ahead, next one. It's not an independent living community. And you've seen those on the corner where it says independent living, senior housing. It looks like an apartment complex. It's not that. So cross that one out. And it's not a large independent living, assisted living facility. There's larger ones out there that look like hospitals, 100-unit, 200-unit. It's not that. It is an assisted living care home. There could be 6 adults, 10 adults. Texas lets you have up to 16. Florida lets you have up to 20. Now, obviously, that's a pretty substantial home if you have 16 or 20 people. But if you have 16 or 20 people paying you $5,000 apiece, you obviously can tell there's some really good cash flow there. So what is an assisted living care home? And in California, they call it board and care, or RCFE, which stands for residential care for the elderly. In a general concept, it's a group residence for seniors that provides assistance in the residents' activities of daily living. Now, that's referred to as the ADLs, brushing your teeth, going to the bathroom, making your food, making your bed, doing your laundry, activities of daily living. So when somebody is living at home and they can't take care of themselves 100%, they're not safe being on their own, it provides all of that. Some people are very mobile, take care of a lot of things. They need help with a few, and some need a lot of help. This is a typical nursing home. Put some barbed wire on the top and a turret and it'd be a prison, right? So that's not what we're talking about. On the next slide, you see a picture of an old show from the 1970s. If you're my age, you remember it, The Golden Girls. 4 mature women living in a home, taking care of each other, no caregiver, just living together. It's not that, and it's not the nursing home. It's somewhere in between. So as you go to the next slide, you're going to see pictures of assisted living facilities all over the country, from Florida to Scottsdale to Oregon and in between. So it looks just like that. And as you go on to the next ones here, these are some other pictures. These are homes that I have in Phoenix, Arizona. So there's one in Phoenix, and we'll go on to the next one there. There's another one in Phoenix, the next one there. It's one in Scottsdale, Arizona. So you can do this any place. But there are better homes, better configurations, and we'll talk about that. So the common questions that I get are, can I do this if I have no medical background? And the answer is yes, you can. You don't have to have any experience in medical at all. The next question I have, can I use my own home for this? And the answer is, it depends. And as you go to the next slide, when I say it depends on the home. A single level home is going to be better than a double level, 2 or 3 level. If you have stairs, well, they need to navigate those stairs. So if you have a single level home, you're better off. Then the zoning. Fair Housing Act allows us to do this in any home, even with a homeowners association. But every state, every city, every community has their own regulations. But the idea of doing this started way back in the early 80s. I met a woman yesterday. She's been doing this since 1983, way back when. You can do this. The Fair Housing Act allows us to. It doesn't change the makeup of the house itself. There's older people living in the home instead of kids running around or loud cars and parties. They're in bed by 7. They're the best neighbors you'll ever have. So then the other thing comes to the size of the bedrooms and the number of bathrooms. So more bedrooms, more square footage is better. The size of the bedrooms, 10 by 10 is pretty much the state rule. That's a very small single bedroom, but 10 by 10 is what you have to have. Bigger is better. If there's 2 people in a room, it's 80 square feet per person, so 160 square feet, 16 by 10 or a configuration of. You don't need to have a bathroom for every person. As a matter of fact, the rule says 1 toilet for every 8 people. I know that sounds nuts, but that's it. You can have 16 people in a 2-bathroom home, and that's perfectly fine. Now, I want you to have more than that, of course, but so doors and floors. We want the doors to be wide and the floors to be a hard surface if at all possible. Tile, wood, linoleum, and so on. General accessibility, fire suppression, sprinkler systems in a single-family residence is not common, but many states require that. So that's an expense. You'll have to put those in. It's not that bad. It's about $2.50 per square foot. So if it's a 4,000 square foot home, that's going to cost you $12,000, $15,000 to do. Smoke detectors, not the Home Depot with a 9-volt battery, but hardwired all together. Grab bars in the bathrooms and the showers. The flow of the home, is it easy to get around? I put penalty lot because as real estate investors, a lot of times we pass up properties that would be perfect for assisted living facilities. Just want you to start thinking about this. Maybe you passed up on a beautiful deal and a wonderful home because it was on a busy corner. Well, that's bad for a family, but it's wonderful for an assisted living facility. Easy to get to, convenience. Or maybe it backed up to a shopping center. Bad for a home, perfectly fine for the assisted living. Maybe you passed up on it because there was a whole bunch of bathrooms and a whole bunch of bedrooms, and you're saying, what is it, the Brady Bunch? Could be a perfect assisted living facility. So the lot itself may be the penalty lot for the homeowner, but could be perfect for us. So there's homes that have been sitting on the market for 6 months and 12 months, even in today's economy, this market today in 2015, that they're sitting there because nobody else wants them, and they're perfect for us. So you can even get a better deal because of that. All right, go on to the next one there. By the way, when I train people to do this, I spend a lot of time on this stuff. I'm firing through it to make sure we get you some great information. So this, I just want to show you a picture, is a typical bathroom. So I want you to think about grandma. She's probably hasn't taken a bath in a long time. She takes a shower. But if she goes to step in that, slip and fall, hard to step over, no grab bars. So what we typically do is tear it right out, and you'll see that in the next picture. You take out the bathtub, and then you pour in a walk-in, go one more, there you go, a walk-in or a roll-in shower. So the same footprint, just take the tub out and get rid of that problem. Put up the grab bars, you're ready to go. All right, next picture. This right here just shows you the concept of the bathroom once again, before and after pictures. You can see it there. One more slide. And as you see this next right here, trying to remember what the pictures are, there we go. Just a beautiful bathroom, walk in, easy. Any one of us would like to have that, but you can see with the floor, it makes it easy to get into, easy to get out of. Go ahead. The next one showing you just a ramp. You know, if somebody has a wheelchair or a walker, even if not, you want to get rid of anything you can that could be a trip hazard. So a simple ramp like that is easy to install. And then widening the doorways, you'll see in the next one here, 36 inches, the widest doorway that's standard in like a Home Depot or Lowe's. So one of the things I like to do is just widen it to 36 inch if at all possible. That right there is a very extra wide chair, kind of a sports model or somebody who's got a lot of weight or character, as I call it. So that's an extra wide chair, just showing you can get through easily on a 36-inch door. All right, next one. Navigator, you're doing awesome, by the way. So the next common question I get is, well, Gene, what about the liability? You know, I've got this home. Is there liability involved? Well, the bottom line is that there is insurance for this. There's a very specific, you can go one more slide there. One more, you know, there is a very specific insurance policy, a liability policy for this business. It's a $1 million, $3 million, $1 million per occurrence, $3 million total. So that policy itself is going to cost about $300 per year per resident. So if you have 10 residents, that's $3,000 a year, $250 a month, not so bad, and you're protected. So we can talk about how you structure this, and I would put the real estate in one LLC, the business in another LLC, the business leases it from the real estate LLC, so we have separation liability protection. The real estate entity has its liability insurance, the business entity has its liability insurance. So we can cover that, guys. I know that's a big concern for a lot of people, but I do this, you can do this, it's done. How much can I make? That's the big question. So as we go to the next slide, I'm going to put up a big number right here, 10,000. Press one more time there. 10,000 per month net cash flow for life. I mean, if you could just do one deal, and one deal, one home is producing you $10,000 a month for the rest of your life, most of you would say that's all I need. I'm done. That's it. And I don't mean where you're working 40 hours a week. It's where you've hired a manager. They've hired caregivers. You're the one who's collecting that $10,000. You might be there 5 hours a week. You can do more if you want, but you don't have to be. Now I'm saying 10,000, and I'm going to show you how I came up with those numbers. So go right on to the next slide. And we talk about doing good and doing well. Yeah, we can make a lot of money doing this, but we also want to be able to do this in a proper way. So I'm going to use the 3,500, go on to the next, and I'm going to use licensed for 10. So this one, there's going to be some, go through the numbers kind of, there you go, licensed for 10. So when I say licensed for 10, that's kind of average. Pause right there. So 3,500 per person. I have homes where there's bedrooms that are 7,500. You can have homes, I don't, where they're 2,000. We're talking private pay, not what the state will pay. The Fed gives money to the state gives it to those who cannot afford. You're not going to get rich or make money or have a nice home doing it that way. We're talking private pay, where you and I don't want mom to stay in the bad end of town in a bad neighborhood. We want her to be in a nice spot. So 3,500 is average. Twice that, half that, you decide. Licensed for 10 in Arizona, I max out at 10. After that, I have to go to a commercial setting. So 10, I can do it in any home in the valley. So 35,000 is potential gross income. And on the next slide, I'm going to give you a list of all of the expenses. So you're going to see a whole list of expenses, and I'm going to give you 2 columns. Go ahead and click twice, and you're going to see 2 columns of numbers. This one totals 20,000, and the next one's going to total half that. So as you kind of look through the list, the biggest number there is caregivers. Employees, the people that take care of mom and dad, that is your biggest expense. You'll notice there's a manager. That could be a caregiver with a manager's license. It could be somebody on the outside. There's vacancies, there's marketing, there's all of it. So on the high end, we might have $20,000 in expenses. On the low end, you might have $10,000. So the reality is somewhere in between those two. Depends on how you want to operate your business. But I always like to be conservative, so I'm going to use $20,000. So as you go to the next slide, we have the 3,500 per person times 10, 35,000 gross minus the 20,000 in expenses, which leaves one more thing. If you rent, it's called rent. If you own, it's called debt service. So I'm putting in $5,000. $5,000 is a pretty big number. You can get a really nice home or rent a really nice home for that. That's where the $10,000 net per month comes from. Now, on the top end, if you're getting $5,000 per person, your net is $25,000 per month. The expenses really don't change. Maybe the debt service goes up a few $1,000s, but that's a good income. And everyone looking at that number now, if you were making $120,000 a year and you don't have to get out of bed to do it, you know, if that's not enough, do 2, right, or do a nicer home. But that's what we're looking at. So as we go on to the next one here, you're doing great, Chrissy. Thank you. As we go on to the next one, here's the 5 keys to success in ALFs. One is location, and click right on through them. Location, and the key to the location is you want to be where the kids that have money are. So when I say the kids, they may be 50, 60 years old, but they're the ones that have a mom or a dad who's 80 and 85 years old. So we want to be in the upper middle class neighborhoods, not in the low end and not in the richy rich neighborhoods, somewhere in between those two, the upper middle class. Staffing, you need to have the right manager, and I teach people how to find them, how to train them, how to keep them. The manager, they then hire the caregivers. The clients, those are the residents themselves, but the family of, those are the ones with money getting paid. We're not going to get paid by the state. We get paid directly from the family. So they walk in on the first with a check, or they mail it in, or direct deposit it in. And then the last one is just having systems in place. I wish that there was somebody like me who taught me how to do this. I had to research it, find it, hard knocks, hit my head against the wall, and figure it out. And now I teach other people how to do it. So I actually give them the systems. Here's how you do it, step 1, 2, 3, and on we go. So those are the 5 keys to success, but there's 5 levels of homes. Level 5, and we'll just let it sit on level 5 for a minute, is the high end. So that's could be a care home. I mean, it's a beautiful home. Now that isn't a care home. That's actually Rod Stewart's home, Maggie May, which is kind of like a care home because he's in his 70s, and I'm sure he has, you know, people feeding him and clothing him and so on. On the other end, we've got level 1. And level 1, I don't want to be there, you know, the triple level trailer park. You could do it there in the dregs, but that's not what I want. So thinking of a pyramid, everybody can live in the trailers. Very few people can live in the mansions. But as you click the next slide, the sweet spot is level 3 and 4. So that upper middle class on a pyramid, a big chunk of people there, that's that $3,000 to $6,000 a month price range of what people pay. So that's what it looks like, and that's what I teach people to do. And on to the next slide. When we talk about you know, this, how fast can I do it? We can click right through this one too. One is buy the land, design the building, build it from scratch, a year or 2. Better way is buy an existing home, remodel it, get it licensed. It's going to take you half that time. better, remember gold and bold, buy an existing licensed home. There's a secret to finding them. You will not find them on the MLS or LoopNet. You'll see a few, but not many. If there's motivated sellers up the wazoo. I was visiting with one yesterday. He's got a 10,000 square foot home. He's been in business for 15 years. He's getting an average of $5,500 per person. And when I sat down with him, he said, I am highly motivated. Excellent. Let's make a deal. Or you can buy the property and lease it to the business that operates the business and make money in a month or two. Or you can simply be a lender. Lend the money, make 4, 6, 8%. And there's a lot of private lenders here involved, so I say 4 to 6 or 8% in case I'm talking to somebody that's going to lend me money. But you guys know as well as I, if you're lending the money, it's more like 10, 12%. But different side of the equation, depends on who I'm training and talking to. We're going to have that conversation on our next webinar. But this, knowledge is the key, that's it. I mean, I teach people how to do this, and knowledge being the key, I'd rather learn from somebody else's mistake instead of mine. So go ahead and click forward there. When we talk about, how can I learn to do this, I've got 2 methods, and I'm going to share some case studies with you in a moment, but just go ahead to the next slide there. One is I invite people into Arizona to do what we call the fast track, and we have a home study course, and we have a live training. So you can click it twice, I think, there, and I'll bring them both up. The home study course itself is just that. It's a home study course where I've got the information and the education on DVDs. You watch it at home. If that's what you can do, that's what you do. The better opportunity is come out to Phoenix. I will show it to you in real life. You get the content in the context. We go see real homes. And the agenda for those 3 days are, number 1, we're learning how to do it. Everything that you need to know about finding them, funding them, licensing them, filling them, staffing them. Day 2, we get in the bus, we go see my homes. You meet the managers, the caregivers, see the homes, see the renovations. Day 3, we come back and we analyze the properties that we saw, because we also go look for properties that are for sale, businesses that are for sale, and we decide which one has the most potential, the most opportunity, how to put it together if you have your own money or if you don't, and all of the nuances. The goal of that is somebody now can come out of that class and say, I know how to do this in my own home, I know how to do this if I want to do it, or if I'm going to own the real estate and lease it to somebody else, I have a room full of people here that could be the prospective tenant. Because that's the biggest comment that I get is, Gene, how can I find somebody who's willing to lease my home for twice the fair market rent who's going to operate this business? Well, good news. I train those people. Some of them are saying, I don't have the real estate or I don't want the real estate. And somebody else is saying, I have the real estate or I will buy it and lease it to you. So it's a nice match. So if you do participate in the fast track, there's the home study course, the field training, and all the documents to run the business, and then 90 days of support. Call me, email me. So let me go through some case studies right now, and on this next slide, you're doing awesome, Chrissy. Thank you. By the way, you're going to have a chance to ask questions in just a few minutes, so just want you to know that. And you'll also notice at the bottom there, there's a website. Feel free to write that down. You can visit that later, alftrainingacademy.com. So in this first case study, you can go on to the next one, Blue Sky Manor. This one is kind of on the low end. I'm going to call it a level 2. Click one more. This one is one that we had on our tour. I bring people not just to my homes, but homes and businesses that are for sale. This one, they were asking $275,000 for the real estate and the business combined. I pre-negotiated it down to $230,000. So here's what the number looked like. And you can click on. That house, by the way, is about 2,000 square feet. The garage was converted. There was an addition on the back, licensed for 10. So the financials when it was purchased, go ahead, is number 1, it was $230,000 to buy it, the real estate and the assisted living. The income was about $17,000. Now that was 100% Medicaid. So that is the feds give the money to the state gives money to people who cannot afford it. An average of $1,700 a month is what we get in Arizona. I wouldn't buy this because of that, but it ended up being a very good deal, and you'll see why. The operating expenses for the business, $12,000. Because it's a $200,000 purchase and not a $1 million purchase, the net operating income of $5,000 more than takes care of the debt service. In this case, the debt service was a little over $1,000. So the net each month on this property, $4,000. So net for the year, $48,000. That's a tremendous deal, if you will. Now, first of all, some of you are listening saying, Gene, I'm in California. I can't get a house for $230,000. Got it. Well, you can invest in other cities and states as well. But the reality is, once we got into it, we found out that the owner was bringing in more money. They were only reporting $17,000, but some of the residents were paying him over and above what the state was paying to get a private room or a nicer room. So there was actually an extra $3,000 coming in, same expenses, same debt service. It just means that the bottom line was $7,000 instead of $4,000. So this little deal turned into a real gem. So again, as you click right through that, you can see this one on the low end, you can make money in that low-end house. It's just not what I am looking to do. Pyramid, I want level 3 and 4. So we'll go to the next one. This next one right here, this case study, what we call Pierson, because that's the name of the street that it's on, alftrainingacademy.com. So on this one here, it was a $490,000 purchase, 5-bedroom, 5-bath, 4,800 square feet, all on one level, and a 2-car garage, by the way. Now, this is in a beautiful area of Phoenix, right on Central Avenue and Camelback, so centrally located. And as you click through, you'll see this house itself is a very nice house, and it had a pool in the back, and that's wonderful if you got kids, but if you got grandma coming out the back door, not so good. So we filled in the pool, put up a nice deck and a gazebo. That is used every single day. The pool is just a beautiful thing you look at, and you spend money to keep it up. You notice on the front walk there, I extended the walk a little bit just to make it easier in case there is a wheelchair or somebody helping somebody else walk. Little things like that is what you do. Renovation to the outside is minimal. Keep it up, make it look nice. On the inside, we did a lot more work to it. Now, I believe there's a series of pictures here, Chrissy, so we'll just, later on, we'll get to those. So here we go. $490,000 was the purchase price. You can click through this. We'll do the financials. We did $100,000 in renovations. There was $60,000 in carrying costs. Pause. There's a lot of people that the big mistake they make is they're undercapitalized. You have to understand when you're starting a business, you have renovations, you got carrying costs, you got negative cash flow. You got to be prepared for that. So I'm rounding off the numbers. It wasn't quite 60, but about 60,000 carrying costs. We added 2 bathrooms and 4 bedrooms. We removed the pool. We converted a large, great room that was 30 by 36 into 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms and a family room. We converted a dining room into a bedroom with 2 closets and a sitting area. So beautiful house, and it ended up being the 5-bed, 5-bath house became a 9-bed, 7-bath house with no pool. So here's what the numbers look like when you go onto that one. In the numbers, there we go, good. So there it is, 490 plus 100 plus 60, so about 650 altogether. On to the next one. And when you see the next one here, oh, I guess this is the series of pictures, so go ahead, you just click and it'll flow through those. I think when you walk in, here's the front room, so it looks nice, fireplace, inviting. People come in, they're comfortable. It's the curb appeal on the inside. When you're bringing mom and dad to the home, first thing you see is this. You're comfortable. You feel good about it. There is the fire system there on the wall. There's a camera on the ceiling in the common areas. We have cameras. I can see them on my iPad and phone and computer. No bedrooms or bathrooms, but obviously we can see it. There's the dining area that we have now, and you see those French doors right there. When I got there, those French doors led to a common area 30 by 36. So we renovated that and turned that space into some very nice bedrooms and family room. So this is what a common 2-occupancy bedroom looks like. 2 beds, nightstand, a lamp, and a dresser. That's what you need. That's the code. A single bedroom in this picture here has a single bed, nightstand, lamp, dresser. It doesn't need to be fancy. Notice how it's a little old-fashioned looking because this isn't IKEA. These aren't college kids. They're 85 years old. That's what they're used to. So you don't have to go that route or that direction, but that's what they tend to like. So in the next picture here, let me see what we have. The dining room. We're going to now just go through this series of pictures kind of quickly. Going through there, that's the great room, big open room. Most people who saw this property said that, what am I going to do with this? It's such a big, huge, empty room, they couldn't envision what to do. As soon as I walked in there, I said, we've got a beautiful tile floor. I've got a beautiful ceiling with electric, AC, everything is there. So I did a rough drawing, and then we had the architect come in and do that drawing. You can click right through, Chrissy. Then as they did that drawing, it configured itself into a family room, 2 single bedrooms, a double room, and 2 bathrooms. So that's the drawing that I did right there. We had the architects do it for real. And then as you go on to the next one there, the pictures always take so long. Sorry about that. There you go. So there's that same room. Now it's a family room. TV's on the wall to the right. Behind that couch is a room for 2 beds right here. Those are twin beds, by the way. You don't need king and queen. It's hard to help mom and dad off the bed when you have a king bed. So king size or full size. These are the private rooms. They back to back. And each one of those has its own half bathroom that you see here. So simple setup. So half bath on those bedrooms. That room itself went from being a big open great room into producing about $14,000 a month in revenue and having a nice family room. So those are the kind of renovations we do. Here's the master bedroom. This one I do have a queen bed in when I show it, so it looks nice, beautiful. Mom and Dad can live there. But right now, one person is living there, and they have a hospital bed in there. That's perfect. That's what it is. The bathrooms you can see right there. It's a nice big wide open shower. That bathroom was as you see it when I got there, so I didn't bother to do the roll-in shower there. It has that little step up onto the next. And then the vanity was there, and the mirrors were there as well. So continue on. The room itself, beautiful. Any one of us could live there, and that's kind of the game plan. My wife and I both said this is where we'll move when it's time for us. So as we move on, again, preparing for the future, there's the house. So what do the numbers look like? We'll let it flow right through here. The conversion from buying it to opening was about 10 months. I went about 3 months longer than I needed to or should have. The gross income is currently $39,000, so it's an average of $3,900 per person. Operating expenses, I'll stay conservative. It's not quite that, but we'll say 20. So that leaves 19. The debt service on this house, go ahead and click on through. 19 is the net operating income, and the debt service is $6,000. So that leaves $13,000 net per month. Now the potential on this, you can click through twice, is really $50,000, $60,000. So I'm going to say the potential on this, $45,000, right? But we can get more than that. $20,000 operating expense. Now we're at $25,000 net. And now minus the debt service, now we're bringing in $19,000. So realistically, it's currently at $13,000 in my pocket. It could be somewhere between 13 and really 25 or 30 from this one single house. Now that house, by the way, is in a nice little neighborhood just north of the city, Camelback and Central, church bells ringing on one side, birds chirping in the front yard, sweet little location, and it's full. It's full, and we have a waiting list. So this can be done in any area, and I'm sure you're now starting to think where you can do it. So I have one more case study for you here. We'll click on through. You're doing great. This one's called Sweetwater, ALFtrainingacademy.com. I keep saying that because I want you to write it down. Later on, I'm going to share with you that those of you who are listening, I've got a tremendous opportunity for you if you would like training or if you'd like the home study. So as we go on through, this one in Sweetwater, this is in Scottsdale, Arizona. This home was 5,100 square feet when we got it with a beautiful large 4-car garage. Go to the next picture. Beautiful pool in the backyard, about an acre lot, just a gorgeous home that any one of us would love to move in. So we did this renovation. We actually did about $200,000 worth of renovation. Off to the right, you see that part of the building there with the skylights on it. That is a 4-car garage. We converted that into 4 bedrooms with 2 Jack and Jill bathrooms. We converted an office into a bedroom. It now has 11 bedrooms and 11 bathrooms, 6,400 square feet. So beautiful project, magnificent home. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's great. So as we go on to the next slide, the numbers themselves, here's what this looks like. So this took about 12 months. And again, I could have easily shaved off 3 or 4 months. I'll explain to you later when I meet you what I mean by that. $45,000 initial gross income. The expenses on this one are $22,000. The extra $2,000 is for a chef, $500 a week, 5 days a week, $100 a day to come and cook to order breakfast, cook to order lunch, and they make dinner in between. So that's the extra $2,000. Net operating income is $23,000. Debt service on this home is a little more, $8,000, which gives you a net of $15,000. That's $180 a year. The potential for this house, easily, it's going to be 55 to 65. I'm going to say 55 minus the 22. Now that extra 10 comes straight to you. So there's 33 minus 8 leaves you with 25. So when I said do one deal and you're set for life, I mean just one of these could be making you 15, 20, 25,000 net per month. You don't need to do a whole bunch, but having a couple is not a bad thing. So this is what I teach people how to do, and as we go on to the next slide right there, you know, it's not the cost that matters, it's the opportunity. A lot of times people, especially with smaller thinking minds, think, oh, I can't spend money. No, you spend money to make money. It's not a cost, it's an investment to make money. Look at the first deal. I showed you $230,000 for that Blue Sky case study. It only brings in $2,000 per person. That's $20,000 gross. The next one, Pierson, it was $650, so that's $420,000 more, but it brings in more than twice the revenue. So would you spend debt service of an extra $2,000 or $3,000 a month in order to double your revenue? I hope so, because that $3,000 a month in debt service mortgage payment made you an extra $25,000 a month. But the jump from the second one to the third one, not as significant, right? $45,000 to $55,000 the debt service on the extra, what, $350 is only going to cost you another couple of grand, but you're only making an extra 10. So that's why I said there's a sweet spot. But you decide how you want to do it. I just want to stay out at the low end, and I'm not going to go to the tippy top, but I like 3 and 4. So do good and do well. On to the next. And as we look at all of this and we put it all together, again, I've touched the tip of the iceberg right here, and we're going to get to the point where you can ask some questions. So I think that's the next slide, if I'm not mistaken. Boom. We did good, Chrissy. You are an excellent navigator. You didn't know I could get through all that in that period of time, did you?
I wasn't sure. There's a lot of slides there.
Okay. This is an opportunity for you now to ask questions. And, Chrissy, remind them how they go ahead and do that.
Oh, well, you know what? I'm going to move my little navigator bar over and show you again. So if you have questions on your screen, right about this area, you're going to have a little blue circle with a hand in it. So if you do have any questions, go ahead and hit that button there, and then you can type it into the questions box. And then, you know, I think, Jane, let's keep on moving, and as they come in, I'll flag you, and then
good. I'm gonna, when you see that, you flag me or just interrupt me, whatever. But you know, the questions that I get all the time is, you know, well, Gene, you know, how fast can I do this, and is it going to be hard to hire the people, and how about finding the residents, and how long are they going to last? Kind of slow down, relax. You know, step one, is there a need? Absolutely yes. You know, think about where you're going to go or where your parents are going to go. They're going to go someplace, and when they need to go someplace, they need it now. It's not like, well, let me wait and make a decision 3 years from now. What typically happens is somebody is older, they maybe have an accident in the home, they slip, they fall, they bruise a hip, and they say, I can't be left alone at night, or at least the kids are saying that, and so now they need a solution. So they go to somebody to get a referral. Where can I go? What should I do? And that's when they come to us, and they come in and they see the home, and the kids generally say, I'd move in here. Right? This is so nice, I could live here. So when they come in and they're looking for a place for mom and dad, they feel comfortable, that curve appeal. So again, if you have questions, I'd rather answer your questions. So go ahead and, if you have a question, just type it in there or raise your hand and we'll get it live, whatever it takes.
Okay. Hey, Jane, I've got a couple that just popped in here, and it may just be that we're still having some issues, some slow issue with our software. Yep. But I have somebody that says, how do you structure the financing on these properties?
Good question. First, if it's a single-family home, non-owner occupied, you can just do it that way. So 20% down, traditional lender, low interest rate. One of my students in Florida right now, they're buying the home as owner-occupied, traditional financing, smaller down payment, even lower interest rate. If it is an existing assisted living facility, now you're going to have a bit of an issue because you're not in the residential box, you're not in the commercial box. Both of those are going to look at you and say, you know, you don't fit in my box. So private lenders come in. That's one of the big reasons why Christy and I connected, because I wanted to educate private lenders on what this is. So I typically have, I had 2 this week, people that invest money, they're private lenders, attend my class in Phoenix because they want to learn about this. And what they say is, number one, this is awesome, I will lend on it. Many of them say, I'm going to do my own home, but also they're there in a room full of people that there's another 15 prospects for them right there to lend the money to. So private lending really does come into play a lot. After you've had the business for a couple of years, go back to the banks and refinancing is a whole lot easier than when you're initially purchasing.
Okay, great. So another one came in, Steve's asking, how involved are the local agencies in health, licensing, codes, et cetera?
Got it. When you say how involved, I think what you mean is how complicated or difficult. So we'll start there. First of all, every state has its own rules. They're all pretty similar. But to find the rules, you'd go to you could Google DHS, which is Department of Health Services, DHS and the state name. You'll go right to their website and then put in the keywords assisted living. So when you do that, it's going to get you to a whole bunch of information. Now, it's a government website, which means we, the people, spent millions and millions to create it, and there's a boatload of information. Unfortunately, it's always incredibly complicated to find. And if you call them and ask questions, they'll give you conflicting answers. So, again, I've cracked the code as into what information to get, but you need to know how many people can I have, what's the capacity. The license itself is an application. It's a form that you fill out, not that complicated. You do need to have a licensed manager. You can find them. You can hire them. I've had people, I was in Panama this year doing a presentation, and I said, you can get a licensed manager by going to Craigslist. And he gave me one of those looks like, I'm going to prove you wrong. So that night he went to Craigslist, and he's in Chicago, but we were in Panama. And he did it, placed the ad in Chicago, and he said, I had 4 responses by the morning. So people who were saying managers or caregivers for a home there. So it's just pretty phenomenal. You can get these people to work for you. The paperwork is not that difficult. You have to jump through the hoop. And that's the way I put it, because once you jump through the hoop, you're on the other side. Doing the paperwork the second time is a whole lot easier. By the third time, you will know more than the people who are working at the state. So it's not that complicated. I think that was the question you were asking, so on we go.
He followed up with another question. He said,
sure.
What's the best way to market to families for facilities?
Great question. The good news is you're not going to be able to spend a lot of money effectively. So there's no billboards or newspaper ads or things like that. It's really word of mouth. That's really where it's at. So your manager and your caregivers are your best advertisement. But getting the word out, if you have a good manager, they've already got contacts and connections in the industry. If you're going to do it yourself or you want to help that manager, it's really just let's get in the car and let's go to the hospital. Let's go to the doctors. Let's go to the attorneys that deal in elder law and introduce yourself and say, here's my card, here's what I do, here's where I am. Then I think very effectively, and I've done this many times, is you have an open house. And I mean a party. Shrimp, chocolate, wine, cheese, gifts. Come on in and see my home. Get them out there to see it. Once they see it and understand it, then they'll be more than comfortable to refer people to you. So referrals. I'd rather spend $1,000 on taking people an ad in a newspaper that hopefully somebody saw. So referrals are really where it's at. There are a few publications in every city that you can get into, and it's only a few, where it's kind of a catalog of these homes or a newspaper or, a little magazine or pamphlet for the elderly that is in the doctor's offices. So as you travel around, you'll see those, pick them up, contact them, and get a page in there, and it might cost you $1,000, but that's it. There are also referral agencies, so senior placement agents that place people in homes. A national one is called A Place for Mom. They advertise on TV quite a bit. So you call A Place for Mom, they give you 20 houses in your zip code or whatever you're looking for, and then people go visit, and then you pay a fee to A Place for Mom. Or there you go.
Okay, fantastic. So John Everett's on, and he says that he used the same exact model about 10 years ago. He sold 3 facilities and did very well. How challenging is it to keep your properties full? And then he says, P.S., love the gig, by the way.
That's great. And you sold them off. I'm sad to hear that. But, keeping the homes full, it really depends. If you have a good reputation and you have a nice home that's well taken care of, keeping it full is not difficult. It's really not. If you're on the outskirts of town, not good. If you have a bad reputation, not good. If your caregivers don't care, not good. So again, if you run a good business, you can keep the home full, but it doesn't just magically put in place and then kept in place. People die, and that's usually the exit plan. People come to the home, and this is their final resting spot. They may die right in the home, and that's okay, guys. It's all right. You'll get used to that, and the caregivers already know that. The families, we know when somebody's fading away, and we tell the families, and they come in and spend those last days with them, and it's a wonderful experience. So residents die. That's when you have a vacancy. So you should always, at that point, just have your protocol. All right, here's the 10 agents we call. It would be great to think you've got a waiting list of 10 people, but if somebody needs to get in a home and your home isn't available, they're probably going to move to somebody else's home because they need the help right then. So keeping it full will depend on you and your expertise.
John had a follow-up. He wants to know if you educate on raising private capital.
Actually, I do. Working with AAPL from private lenders' standpoint, I understand. I've lent money to people, but I understand and how to do it. I also have a whole section in my 3-day training, which I call the perfect pitch, where we talk about how to create a business plan in an hour. Not a 30, 40, 80, 90 page, the 2 pages for the executive summary, including all the pieces you need. It'll take you 1 hour if you do it right. And then how to present yourself properly to that potential investor or lender. So it is a part of what I teach people to do, but I will say this too. I have literally raised millions of dollars for different investments and businesses. This, assisted living facilities, care homes, is the easiest thing I have ever raised money for. Because you go to somebody who has money and you say, look, I'm raising capital for something. If it's a house or an apartment, been there, done that. It's an assisted living facility. It's taking advantage of the mega trend, the baby boomers. We're talking about an average of $3,500 per person, and we can make $10,000 to $20,000 net per month. Are you interested? They perk right up. Doctors, medical professionals love to get into this, but they don't have the time, but they'd love to write you a check. So short answer is yes, I do teach people how to raise the capital.
Okay, and then I have two others here, but they both deal with California, so I'm going to try to make them into one big question for you. So it says, what California state issues need to be considered, and what would be good areas in California?
Got it. Let's talk state issues first. Number one, what are you doing there? No, I'm kidding. It's really expensive there. The taxes are high there. The minimum wage that they're requiring or talking about doing is nuts. Having said all that, there's tons of residential care facilities, RCFEs, and board-in care in California today. Typically, they'll go 6 units or less, 6 beds or less. Why? Because you don't need a sprinkler system or fire suppression. If you go above 6, the fire codes are going to require that you have the sprinkler. Guys, here's the reality. Your biggest expense is the caregiver, and one caregiver can't take care of 6 people well. They can, but not do a great job. I think one caregiver can take care of 3 or 4 people by themselves, but once you get to 5 or 6 people, you really need a second caregiver. So if you're going to hire that second person and that's your biggest expense, you may as well have 8 or 10 or 12 people. Now, in California, you can have 12 or 14 or 16 as long as the house is proper, big enough, the fire codes are followed, and so on. So don't be afraid of that. But a lot of people in California stop at 6 because their mentality is mom and pop. I'm going to hire somebody who's going to work for nothing. They're going to live in the home 24/7, make the food, do the laundry, and take care of these people, and I'm going to make a boatload. That's a mom and pop mentality. You cannot provide good care that way. So go bigger than that. Think business person. I'm going to have a home for 10 or 12. All right, next, because that's kind of the regulation side. They have a class that you can attend in California. They say it's required, but you can do it online. It's not really. It's the basics of. But it's not going to teach you a whole lot other than kind of their rules and what they want you to follow. The next part you mentioned was, let's see, what was the 2-part? It was the regulations and it was the pitfalls?
If you're in California, what would be the best area or good area to look at?
You got it. Well, first of all, the bigger the money, the better the area. So I wouldn't be going to, let's say, East LA, right? Let's just be blunt. You can do it there. But if you're in San Francisco, you're in Napa, you're in San Diego, you're in the areas where there's lots of money. I mean, if you're in an area where, you know, the average home is $3 million and the average income is $500,000, they can afford $8,000 or $10,000 a month to live in your home. So, you know, it's funny because when I say the pyramid and the top of the heap, in California, the top of the heap is billionaires and, you know, multi-hundred millionaires. The top of the heap in Arkansas is, you know, you're making $100,000. So it's a different thing. And if you're from Arkansas, I apologize. Okay, I'm just being factual. But anyway, you get the point. So go where the money is and go in that sweet spot, not the very top, but the top, level 3, 4.
Okay, and then let's see, make sure I didn't miss anybody here. But Paul Franklin's on. He's asking, our area is saturated with ALF with downward pressure on rates. How do you find areas that are not overrun with ALF?
Where is he at? First of all, let him answer that question, and I'll answer the question. But when he tells you, tell me. When he says it's overrun with, I doubt it. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, Maricopa County. There's close to 2,000 care homes. So somebody can tell me it's overrun, and I'm like, guys, we have just begun. 2,000, if it's licensed for 10, that's 20,000 people. There's 1 million people here that have blue hair, that are potentially ready to live in a home like this. Florida is another big area. So it depends on where you are, but if you're in a neighborhood that has more than, go to a different neighborhood. If you're wondering where to go, just ask the placement agents. Ask the placement agents, where would you like to have a house? And they're going to tell you, they're going to be like, everybody has their house over here, but we don't have anything over here. So that's why I picked the location at Pierson, because everybody said we need something that's just outside of downtown. So easy, boom, pull it up, here's the map, here's what I'm looking for. I've been told this is the spot to be. So when you say overrun, did he give you a state or location?
No, not yet.
Okay. It's probably not as overrun as you think, but even if you feel that way, just pick an area that the agents tell you that they would love to have a home here. Because they're going to have an area. They're going to say, if we had a home here, we could fill it tomorrow. Right? All
okay.
right.
And then it looks like the last question coming through right now says, how do you interview guests for compatibility with an existing tenant? Is this a deal breaker with a family?
I assume what they mean is 2 people in a room.
Steve, if you're still listening on there, maybe you can clarify a little bit more.
Do you mean 2 people in a room, or do you mean just people coming into the home as a resident, period?
I would say he says sure, or guest in the house.
Got it. So, and I assume what he means by guest, I'm going to answer them all. If it's a resident coming in, we want good people that are compatible with the house itself. It's male and female. There's more women than men. That's just demographics. But it's not just men or just women. It's a mixture of both. They're all about the same age, older, right? Anywhere, we've had people as young as 49, though, right? But it's typically 80 to 90, right? That's your age. We have people 100. We have people at 70, but you get the point. So they're older. 2, are they mobile? And what that means is I have one home where it's almost like everybody's in a wheelchair. So somebody who's mobile and bopping around, that's not the home for them. It doesn't fit where they're at. And vice versa. There's other homes where everybody's moving around and very, very mobile, walkie-talkie, as we say. So somebody with a wheelchair could live there, and that's okay, but it may not feel as good for them. Attitude. You know, everybody wants to be taken care of, and even nobody wants to leave their home of 80 years and move into someplace. So there is always an adjustment period, but talking about specific moving into a bedroom with 2 people, you know, it's really a budgetary issue. So if somebody can only afford $3,000, all I can give you is a shared room. If you're willing to pay $4,000 or $5,000, you can have a private room. So it's really nothing more than economics. If they want a private room, they can get it. It's a much better semi-private room than it is in a much lesser house. And then guests. If it's just people coming in, we have an open door policy where basically 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., family, friends, guests, visitors are welcome to come in and visit family. That's what it is. We don't set appointments, and we don't have troublesome people coming in. It's family. That's what it is. I know, Chrissy, you have a few more slides you wanted to share, so don't forget that.
I do. We've got a couple to get through, but Steve had a follow-up, and he said, do you provide transportation of residents to events, just like the larger facilities may do?
Got it. You know, I thought I was going to, that would be something that they would want, but the reality is for the larger facilities, because somebody who's in a big place, 100, 200 people, they're typically more mobile and more active. They want a big group. Right? Some people don't want a big group. They lived in a home. They don't want to be in an apartment complex. They'd rather watch the movie in their room, not in a theater room. They'd rather eat at a kitchen table, not at a dining hall. So the people who are in the bigger ones, they tend to have the transportation to take them to an event. But in the care home, it really doesn't happen very often. Most of the people are just there in the home and being taken care of in the home. The families come and visit and take them out for lunch or whatever it may be. But we don't have that kind of regular transportation. I thought we were going to, but there's not been a call for it. If somebody needs a ride to a doctor, we can arrange that or provide that, but we don't have a van that's available to them.
Okay. That looks like the end of the questions for now, so we'll go ahead and move on. And if anybody else has more, go ahead, raise your hand, pop the question in, and we'll get to my.
And as Chrissy's going to the next slide there, I just want you to know, too, this was brief, and Chrissy did an awesome job getting us through on time, so thank you. But you see the website at the bottom there, alftrainingacademy.com. There is a contact sheet when you go there, so if you have a question or want me to be in touch with you, just fill in the contact sheet and give me your name or whatever, give me your question, and I'll answer it for you there. So, again, if you want to learn more, I have a home study course and a 3-day field training. I let Chrissy know that I would give a very special opportunity to those who come from her group listening here. So contact me through the website, and I'll let you know what that is. Oh, you can click right through this. Because I already know. You're going to learn. We're going to go in the field and see. Then we're going to put it all together. There it is. That's your quick review. I can tell you more personally, those who are interested. Oh, and then a few pictures. So when you come out, it's a small group. Keep it to 15, and you're welcome to bring a guest with you. You can click right through these couple of pictures. Because part of that is we do get in a van. It's actually a larger picture than you see here. That's a little van. We now do it more comfortably because nobody likes to climb in the back seat. So we do it in like a 30-passenger vehicle. Much more comfortable, have a ball. We went out to the baseball game Friday night. We went out to a Rustler's Roost, the Western restaurant, Saturday night. So we have a great time. I'll go on to the next. You can just click through those pictures to get to your slide, because I know you have a slide you want to make sure that people see.
Do you want to go through this?
No, you can click right through these because, again, we have a fun time. So this right here, what you're going to learn at that training and the home study is everything you need to know about it. So how can you learn more, home study or the 3-day class? And just click that one more time and I'll give it to you there. And again, I think I've let you guys know enough that if you want to do this, it's a phenomenal business. Appreciate John's comments that he had 3, sold them, loved it, was great. This is a great time to get into this, and if you want to learn, my classes are always full, so and I turn people away. So it's just a great time to learn this, and if you want to, come, I'll teach you. Right onto your slide. I'm really trying to keep you at an hour, that's why.
Gene's brushing it through. You just have to get with him afterwards to get some more training.
There you go.
So for our upcoming events, we have 2 coming up for May. 2 weeks we have litigation and compliance. This will be the 3rd in a series that we've done bankruptcy and I think of our other one that we did. Oh, foreclosure and loss mitigation. Then Gene is going to be back. We'll call this kind of like phase 2, the next level, for the good versus the evil of lending investing in ALF on Wednesday, May 27th. And of course, you'll all get these emails, so you're able to register there. If you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, or even our LinkedIn account, there's opportunities through those to register. And if you just don't want to wait for those emails that I'm going to overload your inbox with, visit our website at www.aaplonline.com. Go into the Events tab and look in the calendar. The exciting news is by June, that should be a brand new website and way easier to find all the information. So that is something we are very excited about. And then, because we do have a special guest on here, I'm going to talk about one other webinar that we have scheduled. It's going to be on June 10th, and it's Managing the Risk of Private Lending, and that's by Mr. Steve Clark. He's on the line, and he's been asking questions of Gene today because he's very interested. So there's a great little twist in today's presentation.
Ta-da.
Right. So our final offer today for anybody who is listening and is not a member of the AAPL just yet, you get 25% off any level of your membership. But to get that, you're going to have to join by Tuesday, May 5th. It's a special offer for you. Then the members that are here, if you need to take your certification, I guess courses, we'll just keep it easy, to keep your certification up, or if you just want to get that additional career training, you can get $50 off of that career training center. And then if it's time for you to renew, do that by May 5th, we'll give you 25% off as well.
Awesome.
And I think that's it for me today. Again, I appreciate everybody's patience with us getting started. I know it was a little rough, and we appreciate your patience as we try to navigate in 2 different areas here. Your time's important, and we're so glad that you took a little bit of time of your afternoon to join us. And thanks, Gene, again, for participating and providing these opportunities for everybody. You guys have a great afternoon. If you have any questions, please feel free to follow up in email or even through social. We'll respond to them as soon as we possibly can. Have a great day. Hope you enjoy. Bye.